What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true banger, if you will. Today we're coming in with a classic story time, talking about a time that I took some acid and did some wild stuff. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do, and also a couple things I do want to mention before I dive into the story here. First and foremost, subscribe if you're new around here. You're not going to regret it. We live stream all the time. We upload all the time. It's a blast around here. And the second thing I want to mention is the Only Gas merch is now available in black. You can get it in both black and white. Awesome colors. They look amazing in both. And let me tell you right now, it's affordable, baby. Check the link in the description at the very top and get yourself some Only Gas merch today. What are we smoking? That's Only Gas, baby. You know what it is. Hey, they want to be us. Hey, they want to smoke the Only Gas. You don't got the Only Gas unless you buy the Only Gas. Link at the top of the description. What it do, baby. Thank you all for supporting. I appreciate you. The merch support really does go a long way over here. I appreciate you guys. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So, this happened back in my good old-fashioned high school days. And ladies and gentlemen, listen, okay? This was a long time ago, and you guys are about to hear a throwback in this, because the way this story all started was watching a Vine, right? So how this all played out is I was going home from school, and at this point, I was in my alternative school, and I was getting a ride home from the girl who normally drove us home. I've talked about this chick a bunch in the past, and Ashton was getting a ride home with me because we had planned on hanging out on this night. So we're riding together in her car, and we get a ride back to my place, you know, and we're chilling. My mom's not coming home for a little while, so we're hanging out, and once we get back to my house, we bust out the tabs that Ashton had. Ashton always brought all sorts of drugs to school, and on this particular day, he brought some tabs, and we had it planned out from the beginning of the day that we were going to hang out after school and trip balls. So we get back to my house, he busts open the tinfoil, and he's got a nice little 5 strip on him, right? So he throws me a tab, and he pops one down the hatch. I think he took 2, actually. But either way, he took his dose. I take mine, and we're chilling out. We hang out at my house for a little bit. You know, we're kind of chilling, watching some TV, and I'm scrolling through Vine, right? I remember this was the OG days, bro. Listen, Vine was the shit. I don't know what it is, but TikTok ain't the same, bro. TikTok ain't the same, okay? Vine was different. It was built different. It was hilarious. But back then, I remember this so well. I was going through Vine, and I found this Vine that I showed to Ashton. And it was like this kid took his school, like, urinal or toilet or something like that, and he filled it with soap, right? I don't know what kind of soap, but he filled it with soap, right? And then he flushed it, and it overflowed, right? I think it was the urinal. It was pretty fucking funny, right? But either way, this kid does this, and like in the Vine, he's just flushing a bunch of times. It just keeps getting crazier, right? Until like it's overflowing, and there's bubbles everywhere. It was pretty fucking funny, right? So I see this Vine, I show it to Ashton, and Ashton is immediately, he's like, bro, we gotta fucking do this. Like, we have to do this, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, like, that sounds pretty lit. Let's go ahead and do it, right? Like, that sounds fun. And I'm thinking at this point still, like, it's going hypothetical, right? I'm like, okay, we're just saying one day we'll do this, right? But no. Ashton pulls out his phone, and he calls his girlfriend at the time. We're going to call her Ashley, dude. Just the most fitting name ever, all right? We're going to call her Ashley. Listen, Ashton was a man with many women, okay? Ashton would have a new girlfriend every like 2 or 3 weeks, you know, but they'd be dating. It wasn't just like they were hooking up. No. Ashton was a relationship man. He just bounced between a lot of them, right? So he calls up his girl at the time, and he's like, hey, you should come through, right? Like, you should come pick up me and Nick. Let's hang out, right? So she's like, oh, yeah, for sure. So she ends up driving over, and I actually introduced him to this girl. I think I've talked about this chick a few times in the past, but they didn't date for very long. But either way, so he calls her up, and she drives over and picks us up from my house, right? She cruises over. She gets there maybe 45 minutes later, and the whole time we're just chilling, and by the time she gets there, the tabs had hit, right? So I'm starting to come up, and I had only taken one, so I was feeling good, but Ashton was really tripping. He was like, man, this is some fire shit, and he's talking to me. He's like, bro, like, you know, this guy always has the best acid, and he every time we trip, he loved talking about his product. Like, he just loved to talk about it and the effects of it. Like, he was always so interested in the shit he sold, you know, which is, well, that, hey, a good ass plug, I'll tell you that. But either way, so we're talking and I'm like, yeah, dude, you know, like, this shit's always really fire. Like, these tabs, they're always amazing. You know, you always get the best shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I appreciate that, bro, you know. And finally, his girl Ashley gets there, and by this point I'm really coming up. I'm feeling the visuals, and it's nice. And it wasn't the greatest day outside. It was a cloudy day, so the colors weren't necessarily all there when we went outside, but inside I was vibing hard, dude. I was feeling good, you know. I was chilling out. We were watching some TV, we were scrolling through Vine, laughing our asses off, having a good time. So Ashley pulls up, and at this point, I still didn't really understand like why she pulled up. I just figured, okay, maybe you wanted to go get food. And he asked her to take us to Walmart. And I'm like, wait, like, what are we getting from Walmart? For sure, I'll go to Walmart, but what are we getting? And he's like, soap. And I'm like, wait, like, are you, like, you want to do this, like, now? Like, you want to do this tonight? And he's like, yeah, bro, like, let's go fucking do this shit, right? So I'm like, all right, bet. Sounds good. I guess let's go, right? So we all hop into Ashley's car. Ashton's sitting shotgun. I'm sitting in the back seat. And I remember once we hopped in her car, even though it was cloudy out, there was such a nice breeze going that was literally hanging out of her car window like a dog. This chick kept the heat on in her car way too high, and the breeze outside was nice. So I'm hanging out that shit like a dog, and I'm tripping balls. And I remember everything was just moving so fast. It looks like an artist just took a brush with 6 different colors on it and smeared it sideways across my field of view. Like, it was all the, like, through traffic hanging out the window, it was crazy. But I was just like, man, this is dope. I'm feeling great. And I remember that car ride, it was so fun. It was a fun car ride, right? But we get to this Walmart, and we go inside, and we go over to the grocery section. That's where they got, like, the dish soap at and all that stuff, right? So we go over there, and we grab dish soap. And we end up grabbing 3 fat-ass jugs. We grabbed 3. I don't remember what the quantity was. I don't think they were gallon, but they were big. They definitely weren't gallons, but they were big, bro. Like, the 3 collectively were probably a gallon, give or take, which, listen, that's a fuckload of dish soap, all right? So we take this soap and we go back to the car, right? We buy it, we go back to the car, and we cruise back to my house. And once we get back there, I roll up a little blunt, right? I give it my best effort because I'm tripping. And Ashton offers me another tab. He's like, bro, do you want to take another one? And I'm like, my man, of course, yes, throw me that. So about an hour and a half into our trip at this point, maybe 2 hours, I throw another tab down the hatch. And we're hanging out at my house. We got the music going. And my mom still wasn't going to be home from work for another maybe 4 hours. So we're just kind of chilling out. We're gaming. I ended up busting out one of my old laptops for Ashton to play Counter-Strike on. We were kind of having a little LAN party thing where, myself and Ashley would smoke weed on the balcony while he would, play CS because he was on probation, so he couldn't smoke. And then after that, I'd come back inside and we get to gaming. It was chill. It was a good time, right? It was a blast. So we're chilling out for a little bit, and as we're hanging out, I kind of bring up, I'm like, so, like, what are we doing with the soap? Like, where are we going? And he's like, I don't really know. Like, I just kind of wanted to get it so we could go do it, right? And I'm like, all right, well, let's stop sitting here and gaming and fucking think of something, right? So we're sitting there and we're thinking, and I get an idea almost immediately. I get an idea. I'm like, bro, listen. There is this little fountain, right? There's this tiny, it wasn't a huge one, but there was this outside of so there's this little movie theater, right? And it was at the time where I was living, it was maybe like 10, 15 minutes away. There was this little movie theater. And at this movie theater, right, across from it, they had like this fountain and then a bunch of smaller fountains, right? Like they had a big one in the middle and then they had a bunch of smaller ones. And I was like, well, you know what? The big one, we probably don't have enough soap for, right? Like, to buy enough soap, bro, there would be so much money. And back then in high school, even with Ashton selling drugs, we still didn't have guap like that to go out and drop $100 on soap. Fuck that, okay? We're not doing that. So we're sitting there, and we're like, we could maybe fuck around with, like, the smaller ones. Because, to decorate around because it was, like, this little shopping plaza, right? And to decorate around the shopping plaza, they had these smaller fountains, just kind of scattered about. So we were like, you know what? We could just take these jugs and split up and like go pour them in these fountains and it would probably work, right? So Ashton was like, yeah, that sounds like a decent idea. And Ashley was like, I want nothing to fucking do with this, right? She was like, I'm just going to sit in my car, like I'll drive you guys there and that's it. She wanted nothing to fucking do with this, right? So Ashton's just beef. They got in an argument over it, low key. Ashton was like, why are you being such a bitch? She's like, why don't you like to have any fucking fun? And she's like, because I don't want to go to jail. They were going at it, but I was sitting here and I was like, man, whatever, man. Listen, me and my man's here. We about to go handle these fountains real quick, right? So we hop up in Ashley's car a little bit later. And by this point, time had passed, right? It was getting closer to like 7 o'clock. So my mom was going to be home. We'd spent the whole evening planning out shit, playing video games, smoking pot, and arguing. Now it was time to act. So we clean up around my house so my mom didn't know we were there. We get it all, as spotless as we possibly could while we're tripping, mind you. The second tab had smacked me long ago at this point, and I was feeling wonderful. I was feeling, man, listen. I every time I make a video about acid, I have a hard time kind of describing how the body feeling is, because I feel like it's really difficult to differentiate that, right? Visuals I can go on all day and explain to you guys like, oh, here's what I saw, here's how it changed, here's how my perception was impacted, right? But with the feeling that you get inside of your body, I feel like it's very similar when you're taking good acid, no matter what, right? Dosage will affect it, but I can't really describe it in a different way that would make it interesting every single video, So on the inside, but I was feeling basically just that lit, kind of almost like rainbow juice pumping through my veins, just fucking bussing, right? I'm feeling great. So we clean up my house, and we go hop in Ashley's car, and we drive over to this little plaza. And how it was laid out, so I have the big fountain in the middle. We weren't going to bother with that. We were like, no, I don't really think we had enough for that. But they had these tiny fountains scattered about, and we were like, okay, let's fucking do it, right? Like, let's go. So we pull up and we park up, and the sun was down at this point, and a lot of these businesses were still open, but it wasn't very popular, right? Listen, granted, this was like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. Yeah, this was literally like 4.5 years ago at this point. Still, motherfuckers were not shopping in person, right? And now even less motherfuckers are shopping in person, right? So at night, realistically, no shoppers were seeing us. So we go, and also, a lot of these places were like restaurants, right, in this little plaza. So it wasn't like there was a bunch of people hanging out outside, right? Like, it wasn't super warm out yet either. And it was night, so nobody was dining outside. So it was kind of a perfect storm, right? So either way, we pull up and we get out of Ashley's car. And me and Ashton are kind of talking, and we're tripping balls, and we don't even think about the fact that we are just walking with Walmart bags that have our dish soap in them. Like, we opted, of course, not to just walk with the straight up dish soap because that would look sketchy, but we were like, bro, we could just walk with our bags, like we could just look like we went shopping. No one's gonna bat an eye, So that's exactly what we fucking did. We get out, and I have my Walmart bag with my dish soap in it, and he's got his. And we left a third bottle in the car because the only reason we even got a third was for Ashley, just to find out that bitch wasn't doing it. And we didn't want to tote around 2 bottles. We were like, fine, one each. The third one, I don't know, we'll just force feed it to her or some shit, right? Whatever. Fuck that bitch. So we split up. I go to one end, he goes to the other. He kind of goes to the right, and I go to the left. So where I go, there's this restaurant, right? There's this restaurant / bar. And the one I went to was probably the most populated of all the businesses, right? But I go there, and I walk up to the little fountain. And luckily, the little fountain was kind of by like a... It was near the patio entrance, right? But obviously, like I said, it was night. Nobody was on the patio, so it was perfect. So I go over there, crank open my dish soap, and I poured about half of the bottle in there. Then I just walked away. I put it back in my bag, and I walked away. I didn't want to run because I was like, well, I didn't make any sound, and like, it's not even going to have an immediate impact. It's probably going to take a while before anything really happens, right? So I'm going to chill out and walk away, right? So I start walking away, and there's some other people kind of walking past and around, but nobody really seemed to be paying any attention to what I was doing. I was blending in with the scenery pretty well. So I walk over, and this was the more difficult fountain. So this fountain was in the front end of the restaurant, right? In the front end of the restaurant. And how I had to approach it, right? You could see directly in. Like, if there was a host or a hostess at the front, they could look out and see me at this fountain. So I walk up and I see that, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, what are we supposed to do, right? I'm sitting there and I'm just scratching my chin. I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know what the fuck to do about this. So I look over, and I'm kind of standing there scoping it out, and I look over, and the small fountain is already bubbling up. The small fountain's already going crazy. So I look over, and I'm like, holy shit, I have to do this like really quickly, or else they're gonna know what's going on. I have to do this right now, right? So I just go up, and I pull out the dish soap, and the rest of the bottle, I just squeeze the fuck out of it into the fountain. Squeeze the ever-living shit out of it. The whole last half of the bottle. It was more than half. I was generous with this part because I realized this was I felt like I was going to get caught at this point. I felt like someone inside had to see me. So I just squeeze it all out, and I'm tripping balls. And like, my perception of, like, I was so nervous. I can't even stress the feeling inside, the intensity of the feeling inside of my body and brain of like nervousness. It felt as if I literally walked onto the stage, right? Like it felt like as if everyone was just watching me beat my fucking cock, right? That's how nervous I felt doing this. It felt like everyone was watching me. And it was probably just because I was tripping. But I don't know. Like I made eye contact with one guy and I just couldn't shake the feeling, right? So I squeezed that soap in there, and after I squeeze it, I kind of panicked. I released that whole stressed, pent up, everyone's watching me feeling it, and I booked it. I flew. I sprinted all the way back to Ashley's whip where she parked. I flew back there and I hop in the car, and Ashton is already back. And I get in there and they see me running and they're like, "Are you good, bro?" And I'm just like, go, fucking get out of here, right? So we go and Ashton's like, "How'd it go?" And I'm like, "Bro, I poured it by that restaurant over there, and that shit was already overflowing by the time I finished the second one, right?" And he was like, "Nice, dude." He dashed me up. He's like, "Bro, I got the fucking stores to the right pretty bad, dude. Like, I could see that shit bubbling, right?" So we skedaddled the fuck out of there. And at this point, I couldn't really go back to my mom's house, and Ashley was trying to go home, and she was kind of being a bitch. She was like, "That was so stupid. I don't know why." She was being a vibe kill, bro. She was like, "I don't know why you guys did that. That was so stupid. We could have gotten called. You guys are idiots. You're tripping. Why would you even want to do that?" And we're just sitting there, man. Shut up, man. We're trying to do our thing here, Ashley, okay? Pipe down, man. Listen, they didn't last very long, but yeah, you could probably see why. But either way, hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and also I hope to see you guys in tonight's live stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Don't forget, Only Gas merch, baby. Link at the top of the description. See you guys next time. Peace.